Another thing is I wanted to point out about social media use and all of these things is I think it can be very detrimental to relationships and
Yeah.
friendships, personal relationships, relationships with your friends. Like when you go out, and I like to people watch. It's fun.
Actually, so do I.
I love to people watch. Like sometimes
I thought I was
when
weird for that.
but it's fascinating because you really get to see what
Hmm.
people are like. You get to see
I
the
like
body
observing,
language.
yeah.
Yeah, kind of observe
Just because I'm
what's going on.
curious. Yeah.
And I was at the mall, and I was just waiting for a friend. He just went to get something and whatever. And I'm just there on the bench sitting and waiting and get to people watch. And it's like I was sitting right across from a restaurant that had see-through windows, and you
Hmm.
could see how people are hanging out. And it was fascinating because you see, like, there was just a group of teenagers and another group of younger adults, and they're just on their phones. Every single one was in a group of like four or three, and they
Hmm.
were just sitting on their phones doing stuff, and then they would just like say something and then back to their phones, and then say something and then back to their phones.
Yeah, actually, I was,
And they're not there, they're not present. And you see
yeah.
couples that they would be just sitting, getting a coffee together, a couple, and they're both on their phones. They're not present, they're not
Hmm.
in a relationship, they're not, you know, they have nothing there. They're literally just roommates. It's like they're just present because they have a label, but do they really love each other? Do they really care about what their day is like? Do they care
Hmm.
about this, that? Because if you're fascinated with another person, you're going to speak to them,
Hmm.
and you're going to find out what's going on in your day. And like, the whole reason you're spending time together is to chat, not
Yeah.
to be on your phone.
Yeah.
And I think that's super detrimental because a lot of people spend their time like this. And I've had friends where they just get in a car, or we're having dinner, and they just pull out a phone and
I
start
hate
scrolling
when
through
I'm driving
Instagram.
and the person next to me is just
And it's
on
like,
their phone.
dude, are you
Dude, let's
serious?
talk. This is our time to talk. I love
Yeah.
talking to people. I know, it's sad. It really is. I
It's so
see it,
addicting.
yes, and especially for the younger, like people our age as well, but even like the younger kids. Um, when I don't know about you, but in seventh grade, eighth grade, I went out for recess and I played soccer with or tag or like I don't know, just hung out with everyone.
Mhm.
We weren't setting up our phones and making TikToks and like I don't know. It's different and I
We're
wonder what the
concerned.
long-term impacts of that is going to be. And it's we can't really escape it because this is what
Yeah.
um that's just what how it is now. I mean, there's not really much we can do about it except try to be better personally um and to be careful about our own usage, but it's just I really wonder like all these kids that are like 4 years old and have their phones already
Hmm.
like
Yeah.
10 years from now, 15 years from now, what's that going to look like?
Well, yeah, and that's the thing. Like, we're concerned about what's going to happen, right, to the younger generation. We already see the impacts in our generation that are going on in
Mhm.
college and university. But I mean, I think social media could be great, and it has a
Definitely.
lot of potential to be very helpful for our
Mhm.
society, and just social media, internet. I think it's an amazing invention.
Mhm.
But the thing is, nobody is putting. I shouldn't say nobody, but the majority of people are not putting their attention towards the possible implications of the internet or social
Mhm.
media specifically, right? They're not looking at that. They might think that it's a concern, but nobody's taking it seriously as a
Mhm.
concern. Nobody's really looking at that in that direction. And before we solve any of the problems involved right now, we first have to recognize that it's a problem.
Definitely.
But the majority of society doesn't recognize it's a problem. They continuously use and use and use more, right? How many new dating apps are coming out? How many new like platforms like TikTok and Snapchat, right? They're coming out with shorter and shorter clips because our attention spans are declining,
Mhm.
right? But where does that lead? We don't know. We need
Mhm.
studies, we need research, we need people to start taking look at those things before we get to a solution, because I think it needs to have some sort of policy, maybe, or maybe the government needs to step in and do something about it, right? Or we as individuals have to recognize that there is a problem and we have to do something about it, because hey, this is detrimental. We did that with smoking, right? I mean, we did say, okay, smoking is bad, smoking is bad, smoking is bad. People stopped smoking. Like, that just, it's shifted the culture because it's began to be so stigmatized to smoke, right? Well, similarly, social media could become the same thing. It's like, yeah, it could be a great tool. We'll use it as a tool rather than something where, you know, where your life is.